My name is Lena Carter. I am 25 years old. I was born in Edinburgh and studied art history at a small university not far from home. I used to live a quiet life. I worked at an art gallery, met friends for coffee, and visited museums on weekends. I liked my routine. I did not travel much. I never thought I would live in different cities or move from place to place with a suitcase in one hand and fear in the other. But that is my life now, and it started the day I met Jeremy. Jeremy Blake was the kind of person who made you feel seen. He asked good questions. He listened closely. He had beautiful eyes and strong opinions. He said he worked in film. He told me he was a writer and a producer. He showed me pictures of places he had visited, hotels in Paris, concerts in Rome, beaches in Portugal. I believed him. I believed every word. When he asked me to come with him to Zurich for a short trip, I said yes. I told my parents it was for work. I told my boss I needed a break. I packed a bag and left my old life behind. At first, it was exciting. We laughed a lot. We visited beautiful places. Then, things started to feel strange. Jeremy became hard to reach. He stopped answering my messages. Then one morning in Munich, he was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just silence. I checked the hotel room, the train station, everything. Nothing. A few days later, I noticed a man watching me. I saw him near the central station in Zurich. I saw him again outside a bookstore in Munich. Then I saw him a third time, standing near a hotel in Innsbruck. He was tall, maybe 60 years old. His white hair was very short. His face was thin and serious. He never smiled. I did not know his name, but I knew he was following me. I felt it every time I turned a corner or sat down in a public place. That morning in Innsbruck, I arrived before sunrise. My train had been delayed during the night. I had no hotel booking and no plans. I walked slowly through the quiet streets. The sky was turning light blue. The mountain air felt sharp and clean. I passed old churches and small shops. I crossed a narrow bridge and turned onto a street filled with cafes. Only one was open. There was a man sitting at a table outside. He had a cup of coffee in one hand and a notebook in the other. A camera rested on the table next to him. He looked relaxed. His jacket was green. His shoes were dusty, like he had been walking a lot. He did not look dangerous. He looked like someone who knew where he was going. I crossed the street and stopped at his table. He looked up. "Hi," I said. "Do you remember me? I think we met in Edinburgh." He raised his eyebrows. "I don't think so," he said. "But I have a terrible memory." I laughed a little. "Maybe I'm confused." "Sorry." He smiled. "No problem. Would you like to sit down?" "Sure," I said. "Thank you." I sat down and placed my bag on the table. The top was half open. I pushed the letter from Jeremy deeper inside. A corner of the paper was showing. It had the words Geneva and Friday written on it. The man reached out his hand. "I'm Daniel." Daniel Rivera. I'm Lena, I said. Nice to meet you. Are you visiting Innsbruck? I'm just passing through, I said. Same here, he said. I'm a travel writer. I visit cities, take photos, and write short pieces for travel magazines. That sounds interesting, I said. Is it fun? Sometimes, he said. Sometimes it's lonely, but I like it. He poured more coffee into his cup and offered me some. I nodded. He handed me a small cup. The warmth felt good in my hands. We sat in silence for a few seconds. I looked across the road again. The man with white hair was still there. He was standing next to a bus stop now. He was pretending to read the schedule, but he was watching me. I knew it. My heart started to beat faster. Daniel followed my eyes. Is something wrong? He asked. No, I said quickly. I just thought I saw someone I knew. He nodded but didn't say anything more. I took a sip of coffee. Then I asked, Do you like movies? I love movies, he said. Why? There was someone I used to know who loved films, I said. We called him Mr. Indigo. Daniel smiled. That's a good name. I think it suits you too, I said. You look like someone who likes stories. He laughed. All right, then what should I call you? Call me Mystery Girl, I said. Just for today. He looked at me with curiosity. Okay, Mystery Girl. The street was getting busier now. People were walking to work. Buses were arriving. Shops were opening. But I couldn't relax. I knew something was going to happen. Daniel asked, Are you waiting for someone? No, I said quickly. I have to catch a train soon. He looked at my bag again. He had seen the letter. I could tell. But he was polite. He didn't ask about it. I'm going to Salzburg later today, he said. Taking the train. That's where I'm going too, I said. Maybe we'll see each other there, he said. I didn't answer. The man with white hair began walking across the street. I stood up. I really should go, I said. Daniel stood too. It was nice meeting you. I didn't know what made me do it, but I leaned forward and kissed him lightly on the cheek. Drive safe, Mr. Indigo, I said. Then I turned and walked away. I entered the hotel across the street. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor and walked into the hallway. I opened a window and looked down. Daniel left the cafe and walked to his car. It was a small blue car parked near the hotel. He opened the door and got inside. 1 minute later, the man with white hair followed. He stepped into a red car across the road and started the engine. Daniel's car pulled away. The red car followed. I stood by the window for a long time. I watched them disappear around the corner. I had no idea what would happen next. But I knew one thing for sure. I had only bought myself a little time. Not much more. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, Where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The train to Salzburg was quiet. I sat near the window and kept my head low. I wore a black jacket with the hood pulled over my hair. I did not want anyone to notice me. The man with white hair had followed Daniel's car when they left the cafe, and I hoped he believed Daniel was the person he wanted. I did not know how long that would last. Maybe only a few hours, maybe less. I watched the mountains pass by the window. They were tall and white, and they looked peaceful, but my heart was not peaceful. It beat too fast. I looked at my phone again. No new messages. No calls. No reply from Jeremy. He had told me to meet him in Geneva at the Grand Hotel. Friday afternoon. That was tomorrow. Today was Thursday. I still had time, but not much. And if Elias, the man with white hair, found out the truth, then time would not help me. I would not reach Geneva at all. I arrived in Salzburg just after 11 in the morning. The sun was high, but the streets were cool. I walked quickly through the station. I did not stop to buy anything. I did not speak to anyone. I needed to find a place to rest, but I could not afford a big hotel. I found a small guest house near the river. The woman at the front desk gave me a room with a window that looked out over the water. It was quiet and simple. That was enough. I locked the door, pulled the curtains, and sat on the bed. My hands were shaking. I reached into my bag and pulled out the letter. It was still there. The paper was soft at the corners now. I had read it many times. I read it again. Lena, I'm sorry I left like that. I didn't want to bring trouble to your life. I thought I could protect you by staying away. I was wrong. If you're still willing to see me, meet me at the Grand Hotel in Geneva. Friday afternoon. I'll be there. No name. No signature. Just that. It had come in a plain envelope with no return address. The handwriting was his. I was sure of it. I believed it. Or I wanted to. I stayed in the room until sunset. I ate some bread and cheese I had in my bag. I drank water from the tap. I washed my face and changed my clothes. Then I left the room and walked into the city. Salzburg was beautiful. It was full of music and light. I walked past small shops and restaurants. I saw students with guitars and old men playing chess in the park. There were tourists everywhere, cameras, maps, and loud voices. I felt invisible. That was good. Then I saw him. Daniel. He was standing near a bookstore across the street. He had a small bag over his shoulder and his camera in one hand. He looked like he had just arrived. I stepped behind a pillar and watched him. I didn't know what to do. I had not expected to see him again. Not so soon. He looked around. He did not seem afraid. He took a photo of the street, then looked down at his phone. After a minute, he walked into the bookstore. I waited for a few minutes, then crossed the street and followed him. I entered the shop and walked slowly through the rows of books. He was in the back, looking at travel guides. I walked up behind him. "Hello again, Mr. Indigo," I said. He turned around. He was surprised, but not angry. "You again," he said. "I thought you were heading somewhere else." "I changed my plans," I said. "Can I buy you a coffee?" He looked at me for a second. Then he nodded. "Sure." We left the shop and walked to a small cafe nearby. It was busy, but we found a table near the window. I ordered tea. He ordered black coffee. "You left quickly yesterday," he said. "I had to," I replied. "You also kissed me," he said with a smile. "I know," I said. "That was not planned." "Who was the man with white hair?" he asked. "He followed me out of Innsbruck. He followed my car for hours." I looked down at the table. I didn't speak. "He scared me," Daniel said. "I stopped for fuel, and he waited in his car. Then he disappeared." I looked up. "He is not after you," I said. "He's after someone else." Daniel leaned forward. "Then why did he follow me?" "Because I made him think you were someone you are not." "And who is he?" "His name is Elias. I don't know much about him, but I think he blames someone for something terrible. I think he is dangerous." Daniel sat back. "Why are you involved in this?" "I didn't mean to be," I said. "I made a mistake. I trusted the wrong person. Now I am trying to fix it." Daniel looked at me for a long time. "And who am I in this story?" "You are the one person who didn't ask too many questions," I said. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "You're going to Geneva, aren't you?" "Yes," I said. "Tomorrow." "Why?" "To meet someone," I said. "Someone I need to see one more time." Daniel looked out the window. "If you want company, I can come." I shook my head. "No. I don't want to put you in more danger." "Maybe it's too late for that," he said. I smiled a little. "You're kind, but this is my problem." We finished our drinks and walked out together. The night air was cool. I said goodbye and turned toward the river. He watched me go. I knew he was still curious, but he didn't follow me. I walked back to the guest house. I locked the door and sat on the bed again. My phone was still quiet. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I turned it off. I lay down and closed my eyes. In the dark, I saw faces. Jeremy's face, Elias's face, and now Daniel's face too. I didn't know what would happen in Geneva, but I knew I had to go. I left Salzburg early the next morning. The sun was not up yet, and the streets were quiet. The air felt colder than the day before. I walked to the station with my bag over one shoulder. The sky was still dark, and my steps were the only sound in the street. I did not look behind me. I knew that if I turned around too many times, I would start to panic. I could not afford to panic now. The train to Geneva left on time. I found an empty seat near the back of the carriage. I placed my bag on the seat beside me. I sat with my back straight and my hands folded in my lap. My phone was off. I kept it in my pocket. I did not want to read more silence. I did not want to feel more doubt. I watched the landscape change through the window. Hills became fields. Fields became lakes. Lakes became mountains again. I had never seen so many towns pass by so quickly. It felt like moving through a painting, but I could not enjoy the view. My mind was full of questions. Would Jeremy really be there? Would Elias find me before I reached him? And what if Jeremy was lying again? The train arrived in Geneva just before noon. The city felt larger than Salzburg and busier than Innsbruck. There were people everywhere. Tourists, workers, students, families. Everyone moved with purpose. Everyone had somewhere to go. I stepped out of the station and took a breath. The air smelled clean, but it also carried the weight of something unknown. I looked at the map outside the station. The Grand Hotel was not far. I decided to walk. I needed time to think. I walked slowly, watching people pass me. I did not see anyone I recognized. That was a small relief. The hotel was beautiful. It stood near the lake, tall and full of windows. The front entrance had flowers on both sides. A doorman stood outside, greeting people with quiet words. I walked past him and entered the lobby. The floor was shiny. The walls were white and gold. A woman at the desk smiled as I entered. I nodded politely and turned to the lounge. There were tables with fresh flowers and leather chairs around them. A few people sat reading newspapers or drinking coffee. I found a seat near the corner. I placed my bag on my lap and waited. My heart was beating fast. I kept looking at the clock on the wall. It was 12:30. Still early. Jeremy had written Friday afternoon. I had no idea what time he would arrive. I sat for 15 minutes, then 30. I did not move. I watched every person who walked through the glass doors. I looked at every face, hoping and fearing at the same time. Then I saw him. He walked in wearing a dark coat. He looked thinner than before, more tired. But it was him. His eyes searched the room. When he saw me, he stopped. For a second, we just looked at each other. Then he walked toward me. "Lena," he said softly. "Jeremy," I answered. He sat across from me. He looked nervous. His hands were shaking. His eyes looked different than I remembered. There was guilt in them. There was pain. "I didn't know if you would come," he said. "I almost didn't," I said. "I'm glad you did." We sat in silence. He looked down at the floor. I looked at his hands. There was a small scar near his thumb. I remembered the day he got it. We had been hiking. He slipped and cut his hand on a rock. That felt like another lifetime. "You left without a word," I said. I know. I didn't know what happened. I thought something terrible had happened. Something did, he said. But not to me. He took a breath. Do you remember Anna? I nodded. You told me she was an old friend. She was more than that, he said. I was with her before I met you. I told her stories too. I made promises. She gave me money. She trusted me. And then she found out I was seeing someone else. She tried to talk to me, but I didn't want to face her. What happened to her? I asked. She took her life in Boston 3 months ago. I felt cold all over. Jeremy continued. Her father's name is Elias Grant. He found out about me. He read her messages. He followed my name through hotel bookings and bank records. He came to Europe to find me. He followed me, I said. He thought I was with you. Jeremy nodded. I was scared. I knew he wanted revenge. So I ran. I thought if I disappeared, he would stop. But he didn't. He started watching the people I knew. That's how he found you. I sat very still. Why did you send me that letter? I asked. Because I wanted to say sorry. Because I was tired of running. And because I thought maybe I could explain everything. Do you want forgiveness? I asked. I don't know what I want, he said. I just didn't want to hide anymore. A shadow passed over the room. Jeremy turned his head quickly. At the front door, Elias entered. He looked different than before. His face was pale, his eyes sharp. He walked slowly, but with purpose. He looked around the room. Jeremy stood up. Lena, go. No. Please. Just go. Elias saw. Asdana. He started walking toward our table. Jeremy stepped in front of me. Elias, he said. Please. Elias stopped. For a moment, no one moved. You left my daughter alone, Elias said. His voice was low and full of emotion. You lied to her. You stole from her. And then she died. Jeremy's hands were up. I know. I was wrong. You destroyed her, Elias said. Jeremy took a step closer. You're right. I destroyed everything. But killing me won't bring her back. Elias looked at me, then back at Jeremy. You don't deserve peace, he said. Jeremy nodded. I agree. They stood there, silent. Then Elias turned and walked away. He left the hotel without another word. Jeremy sat down again. He looked like he was about to fall. I thought he would shoot me, he said. I did too, I replied. We sat in silence for a long time. Then I stood up. I'm going now, I said. Jeremy looked at me. Where will you go? I don't know. Somewhere quiet. He nodded. Take care of yourself. You too. I walked out of the hotel. The air felt cold against my face. I crossed the street and didn't look back. That part of my life was finished. I didn't know where I was going next, but I knew it would be alone. 1 week later, I was in a small village near Lake Como. No one knew me there. The streets were quiet, the sky was blue, and the lake moved gently under the sun. I sat near the water with a notebook and a pen. I had not written in a long time. I wrote down everything, from the first moment I met Jeremy to the last time I saw him in Geneva. I wrote about Daniel too, and how he helped me without asking for anything in return. I wrote about Elias and the pain in his eyes. Sometimes we don't see the storm until we are standing in the middle of it. Sometimes we trust too quickly or stay too long. But I had survived. I was still here. I finished writing, closed the notebook, and looked at the lake. For the first time in months, I didn't feel afraid. A voice called my name. I turned. Daniel was standing there, holding a camera in one hand, smiling like he had always known I would end up here. He didn't say anything else. He just sat beside me. And for the first time, I smiled without pretending. If you liked my story, please like, comment, and share. More simple and emotional stories are coming soon.